Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of Inspire. I am your host, Shah Hayes, and to the left of me is our founder and CEO, Kiana. We are so happy you all have decided to join us in the plethora of options of entertainment. You decided to join us to hear the journeys of others and how it serves as an inspiration to us as well as others. And today we have the pleasure of talking with a friend of mine, a family member of mine, who is an inspiration to me because as entrepreneurship can be daunting and hard and challenging, she has taken on that task to become someone who is changing the game of Black women-owned businesses. And she has done so, leaving a corporate business and starting her own journey and having her way as an entrepreneur and Black business owner. So, without further ado, welcoming my friend, Jackie Reed.
Hi.
Hi. I didn't know you had your professional government name, Jacqueline.
Yes.
So just for those who are watching know that, as an endearment, this is what we call her, Jackie. But, for all those out there, she's Miss Jacqueline to you.
Miss Jacqueline.
Miss
And
Well,
it's
Jacqueline.
funny because my staff calls me Mrs. Fire from the name of the store.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. I
I
love
love
it.
it. Yeah, most spice. Let
Well,
them
it's an
know.
honor to have you here today. And thank you for being a part of Inspire. And Shah, Jacqueline, enjoy.
Thank you.
Well, this is just like we were just kicking it. I was just saying I got some water to sip upon my custom made thermal insulated their thermal that you made for us when we went away for a trip. So this is like any other conversation we would have. And I always like to start off asking the question about you being a little girl. I think about all the time you post pictures of yourself with your little ponytails and as I always
Hmm.
say, the Sears Ola Mills backdrop that everybody parent made them take when they were little. When you were a
Yes.
little girl, thinking back and just watching yourself in those pictures, like what was your inspiration? Like what made you say to yourself, I want to do something? Like what was something you thought about as a child that you wanted to become?
Um, at one point I just knew I was gonna be a teacher,
Hmm.
right? I wanted to be an educator. My aunt, she was a school teacher. She still is, but she's retired. She does subbing now, but so I was like, okay, I want to be a teacher because that's what they kind of said. I acted like her, I should be a teacher. Then I wanted to be a nurse because my grandmother was a nurse, my mother, my aunt, they were all in the nursing field. But when I was 7 years old, my uncle, Sharon's father, Uncle June,
Hmm. Hmm.
we moved to Jersey. We moved from Southeast DC to New Jersey. And when I came back down to visit that summer, he had a candy apple red Audi. And I tell the
Hmm.
story all the time because it literally was the turning point from my life. But he had a candy apple red Audi and he had a print shop. I forget where it was, but it was somewhere in DC. And he allowed me and my brother Sterling to work at this print shop. And I was like, I'm gonna bust these printing papers out, these t-shirts, everything he needed me to print. Cause one of these days I'm gonna have enough money to buy me an Audi. And I
Yes.
want to be an entrepreneur. I did not know what an entrepreneur was, but I knew that's what my uncle said he was. He owned his own business. He was an entrepreneur. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's what I want to be because I want to be able to get an Audi. And I did.
But that's so amazing. You said this is how old at this time of you when you
I was
experienced that? At
I was
7 years
7 years
old.
old. Yes. Yep.
And that's such an amazing thing because at seven, like, girls are still playing with dolls and, you're hanging out with your friends. And like, you don't think
Mhm.
about the career aspect of things. And the fact that at 7 years old, you were that impressionable that seeing that, something as a material thing still mattered to you because it meant that he had accomplished something in his life. So how did
Mhm.
seeing that manifest for you saying, all right, I want to be like that because he has this thing that I want to one day get?
Well, like growing up, for a while, my mom was a single parent until she met my stepfather. There's four of us. I'm the second oldest, only girl. So I grew up a tomboy, right? I didn't really care too much about the dolls unless I was kind of around Sharon. But I grew up a straight tomboy, and because it was easier for my family for me to just play with my brother's toys. And so
Hmm.
I was inducted into being a tomboy because
Right.
I just needed to stay out the way. Right.
Yeah.
And so just being in the environment of where we made the best of what we had. We didn't have a lot, but we made the best of what we had. I knew that that wasn't going to always be my situation, and that my mom did everything that she could. Like we enjoyed our childhood. It was, but being an adult, we realized just how hard it was. Right? Didn't recognize
Hmm.
it back then, but now that when I became an adult, I was more conscious of just how tough things were. But even back then, subconsciously, I knew I didn't know things were bad, but I knew I wanted more for myself and for my family, and to break some of those generational bondages that we were in. And
Hmm.
so that I knew I had to be that change, and I knew that my family was going to need that change, and I wanted to be, the person contributing to that.
And I mean, and saying you want that change often is impressed upon you to just get a job. To say you want to be a business owner and own your own business is whole like almost like a fairy tale to some people, because in
Mhm.
generations they've always told you just get a good job, especially a good government job. Get a good job and
Mhm.
go to work. So why not just get a job? Why not just say, let me just get a job and that be it?
It just wasn't good enough.
Mm.
Even back then, I knew that I kind of wanted to have control of the direction of my life. I didn't know how though, because when I was 13, I did get a job. I was working for I was living in Trenton, New Jersey at the time. And there was this training program for the inner city youth called JTPA. And they paid the kids to take on different jobs. And I worked for the green team. The green team, we went around and cleaned the city parks, right? And you couldn't tell me nothing. I was making my money. I was 13 years old, walking around cleaning the parks, and I really felt like I was making a difference, which I was. Kids can play in the cleaner parks and stuff like that, right? But even still, the boss that we had, she was amazing. She was amazing. We're still friends to this day,
Wow.
even though she's much older than I am. But I wanted to be her. So even in
Mm.
a job, I'm like, I got to be the boss. I
I
want
got
to
to
be
tell
the
you what
boss.
to do.
Yes. And I want to be in charge. I want to be in control. I want to be the person making the decisions, because I felt confident enough to know that whoever I was going to be or wherever I was going to be, I would be good for whatever it is that I was trying to help or accomplish or whatever. I just felt that confident in myself. And so, I'll take it on the chin to be the employee, but eventually I'm going to be the employer. And that was my mindset.
Right, you were studying, but you were like, "This is where I'm eventually gonna go." But then
Exactly.
as now you're 13 years old and you're, still school age.
Mhm.
Did you go, like, from high school, the traditional route as far as high school and then college, or did you have a lemonade stand and that was, like, the beginning of your first entrepreneur endeavor?
Actually, the very first beginning, and you've known me for some time. I've done so many things like, oh yeah, Jackie does that. But the very first entrepreneur endeavor was, we went to school in a predominantly white neighborhood, right?
Mhm.
And I would always do hair, right? Just
Mm,
braiding people's
mhm.
hair anywhere where I can make $1 or make $2 from doing French braids. Learn how to French braid. I'm 15 years old, and I'm French. Actually, I'm sorry, I was about 13 and I'm French braiding, right? And there was a girl who, she did not even speak English, and her mother wasn't good with doing hair. She was Haitian, and
Mm,
she came to school, and one of the teachers, one of the black guidance counselors, she said she had somebody translate for her and asked this young lady's mom, could I put French braids in her hair?
wow.
And they let me come into the office, and they asked me, they said, how much would you charge? And I was like, $2. I'm literally like in the eighth grade. I'm like, $2, right? And so I put the French braids in this girl's hair, and she was so happy that she had these French braids. And
Wow.
once a week, I would French braid her hair. But then
For
I started
$2.
French braiding everybody's hair. Everybody wanted French braid. The girls on the cheerleading team, they wanted French braids. And so that's where I was making my money.
But that's just such a great thing that you use a skill that probably you wouldn't even think about making money off of. You were just like, I just
Yep.
know how to do it. So let me just like
Mhm.
start doing it. And the fact that there were people advocating on your behalf because they saw
Yep.
that you were doing something, and because of that, down that became another source for you to kind of start your own little revenue stream. Although you was kind of undercutting yourself, but to you probably was
I was
like
definitely, look, I needed management.
$2 for French braids, please. They like charging $2
Yep.
per braid nowadays. So I
Exactly.
mean, so then now
Exactly.
you're a child who can see that I can actually be my own boss, create a business, and like do something to make money from that. So what was the education for you leaving out of like the traditional high school? Did you go to college?
Well, even before I left high school, the doing hair still kind of stuck with me. I had hair all the
Mhm.
way down my back, and
Mm,
doing hair really stuck with me. It went from French braiding to doing perms and cutting split ends and stuff like that, just like that kitchen beautician type of thing.
yeah.
But the high school that I went to, which was Nottingham High School, they had a program that allowed you to split to excuse me.
It's okay.
Coco was tripping.
This is live television, y'all.
They had a high school that allowed you to come here, Coco. Come here.
Well, Coco,
That
go
allowed
find
you
Mom
to
Scooby.
I know, I know. Here's Coco. Let's get them together. Calm down. Say hi to the people. So they had a high
Baby.
school. In my high school, they allowed us to go to school half day, and
Mhm.
then go to a trade school half day. And my guidance counselor was completely against it because I was a straight A student and I was in higher
Mm,
level courses. And they said, well, that's not typical for people who have my grades, basically trying to tell me I needed to go to college. And so,
mm.
but in my mind, I want to take it's this 2-year program to become a licensed cosmetologist. And then I want to go to college because while I'm in college, I want to be able to do hair and
Make
make
money.
money, right?
Yeah. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
so amazing how basically in the structure of your school, they're basically saying you're too smart to actually want to take a skill set that typically is
Mhm.
for people who don't have the intelligence, as opposed to
Right.
looking at it from another bigger, level. So that's great that you
Mhm.
saw that because there could have been a lot of people who would have been deterred by that. But like, yeah, I guess I should use my intelligence on something else when there are very highly intelligent people who are cosmetologists out there in the world.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
Exactly. Who are out here making more money than the average person who has a
yeah,
college
Mm-hmm.
degree, you
Very
know?
true.
absolutely.
And
And there's a
so
chemistry element people don't realize. There's a chemistry element that you also got to learn when you're in cosmetology school. So there's also that.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn all the organs, the skin, the hair, the nails. You have to learn it all. It's not just hair. It's so much more to it than just going to learn how to do hair. Like I
Yeah.
literally learned hair care. And so I went to the program anyway. I went to the
Hmm.
program anyway, graduated top of my class. And it was funny because you have to do a junior year and a senior year. So I completed my junior year. And then my senior year, you have to do hair. You have to do clients' hair. Like it's a full
Hmm.
salon that you learn how to run. And both my teachers were Italian. They weren't black. So I taught myself how to do black hair. Okay. Um,
Mm.
those instructors taught me about hair care. And initially I thought that I was at a disadvantage because I didn't learn how to do, all the different things. I learned how to do I learned hair care. And so
The texture matters. I mean, no matter. I mean, although people want to seem like it's like I always talk about this when I'm on set. When they tell you you got to go to somebody that is not of your background, your ethnic background,
Mhm,
and like making them understand that it is different. Like there's the difference, the things where you don't have to approach with someone who knows already. You could be taught certain things, but this
mhm,
some things are innately what you would know in terms about hair.
exactly. Exactly. But the things that during the era of when I went to cosmetology school, it was the era of gluing hair to your hair.
Mm.
and like very poor hair care practices were taking place back then, right? And so here I
Wow.
am graduating and I'm telling people all the different things about, trying to educate, like, oh, you really shouldn't do that. And they're like, girl, shut up. I want this hairstyle. Put this cap on and cut this way and cut that way. And I wouldn't do it. And so I didn't flourish in that profession because I would not do hair in that manner. I was concerned about the integrity of hair
You're
and
here.
on a
Yeah.
long-term basis, right? Rather than just for the weekend because you want to go to the club with hair glued to your
True.
hair.
Well, or
And
just I
so
can only imagine what was happening with your hair with all that hard curls, like how much spray
mhm,
and heat
mhm,
went into, people wanting to have their hair just as stiff as a board. But it is one of those things because I
exactly.
mean, especially in the African American community, our hair is our crown and our glory, and it's an identity to who we are. So I can
Mhm.
imagine you having to struggle with making them understand that hair care is just as important as style. So that had to
Yep.
have brought you to like going through that experience and probably fighting battles with people who are like, no, I just want to look cute. I want to look like those girls on the right on poster.
Yep,
You were
exactly. They would literally, you remember the hair books? Go to the hair store and you flip through the
yeah,
pages, and then they got the finger waves on this side, and then the hard curls on that side. And these are
the
the things that people would
waterfall.
bring to me. Exactly. And however cute it was, it still just wasn't good. And so
Yeah.
sometimes I did do it for the sake of the money because as I was finishing hair school, I also got pregnant with my oldest daughter and I
Mm.
was a single mom. And doing hair helped me feed her until I realized I'm working way too hard and I'm not making enough money because I became an apprentice and the person who I was working for was taking 50% of my earnings.
Oh wow.
That
Well,
was the
speak
deal
to
that
that
we
for a minute though, like in terms
had.
of Lexi. Hey, shout out to Lexi. Just being a mother and going through an experience of like trying to, assume yourself in your profession at that time, which was being in cosmetology, and now becoming a
Mhm.
mother. How hard was that for you to kind of get to the point where you're like, all right, financially, I can do this, or I have to make sacrifices for that? Like, how did that affect you long term?
Um, Again, it was one of those things when I was in it, I didn't even realize how hard it was. I didn't
Mm,
even realize because all I knew was you got to keep going. And the moment you stop to think about what you were lacking, or it changes everything. You can really soak in that moment. And I knew that I couldn't afford to do that.
mhm,
Um, she was my pride and joy, right? I was around people who were doing some things that whereas if I didn't have Lexus, I would have probably been out doing those things. These were some of my closest friends, and
mhm.
there were some consequences that came with the actions that they were doing. But because I chose, listen, I'm a mom, I'm a parent, I gotta,
Yeah.
and I'm her only parent, so I gotta have my stuff together. I can't be out doing these things. I just kept moving, and kept thinking of different ways I can level up because I had to show her differently, and I didn't want her to grow up hard. Um,
But what do you attribute that mindset to? Because not everyone has, especially at that age and time when you were, which was what, in your 20s, I think it was when you had
I
Lexi,
was
right?
19.
19.
I was actually
So then,
18
like,
years old when I had her. I was 18.
what do you attribute? Because like at that young age, that is a big maturity to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go over here and take care of my child. Because although becoming a parent doesn't also mean you become maternal. So how did
Right.
you just? What do you attribute you getting that from? Where you just instantly said, I have to show up for myself and my child.
My mom. I mean, like I
Mm.
said, just raising us. My mom had 4 kids by the time she was 22 years old, right?
Mhm.
And she raised us with what she had, mentally and physically, with what she had. And me just watching, just being a student of her journey, right? I
Mhm.
knew where I would take from and how I would insert my own knowledge or what I picked up throughout the time. I've had teachers who've been very instrumental in my life. They've spoken things over me, so I just picked up things from my mom, picked up things from these teachers. um, when I was working for JTPA, I got really close to some of the older people working in these different jobs, and just
Mhm.
kind of pulled from whoever I can pull from. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. I'm still not. But at the end of the day, I gave what I could give, and I pulled from what I thought was best for me and my daughter at the time. And I mean, like I said, it wasn't perfect, but we're here now.
You made it. Well, let me, shift gears in terms of, so you started doing hair and did that for the time of supporting, but then you also stepped into corporate. How did you end up making that pivot in life?
So it was Easter. It was Easter Eve. Um, I don't even know. I forget what year this was. I was like 20 or 21 years old, and I was in the shop. It's Easter Eve. Everybody want this press and curl and these tight curls, and, all this different stuff. And I literally was in this lady's shop forever. And my feet
Mhm.
was hurting so bad. My back was hurting. My shoulders were hurting. Like everything was hurting. And I was in her shop until 2 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
Okay. Away from my daughter all this time. Lexus was about 2 or 3 years old. And again, we had a deal where she would get 50% because she provided all the supplies that I needed.
Mhm.
And she wasn't even a licensed beautician. She was in school to become a licensed beautician.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Mhm.
why would she ever do that if she's taking 50% of my money?
Mhm.
She doesn't
Right.
even
She
have
don't
to
even have to
ever.
do anything. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I got to a point where that day was that was the turning point in the career of me doing hair. I was like, I can't do this. I need to go get a job. And so I applied at a temp agency and was working for ETS, Educational Testing Service. And that was a big old high school. People liked each other, people didn't. This one was with this boy, that one was with that boy. But I said, I got to go in here and I got to stay focused
Yeah.
because
Blinders.
I don't exactly. I by that time I had got my own place, and I have to stay focused because I got these bills to pay. And
Mhm.
that was my entry into corporate America.
Just starting out from that, because you were like, all right, this ain't gonna cut. Especially the thing about that is that having the reflection of the entrepreneur part, and probably hadn't settled in your spirit just yet about what you wanted to do, but you had always had the mentality of, I want to be a boss. So having someone split the profits with your earnings or what you've made isn't boss enough. So you realize in that moment, like, this ain't gonna work.
Yep. Yep.
This
And
is
then I
not gonna
mean,
work.
being in there all those hours and making enough money to pay my bills for like 3 months, but coming out of there with just like a month and a half's pay, that was never going to work for me. It was
Yeah.
never going to work for me. And so at that moment, that's when I left from doing hair. I mean, I still kind of did the kitchen beautician thing, but I was not working in anyone's shop.
Doing it someone else. Yeah. So you're
Mhm.
now into corporate world, and we know the grunt of what it comes down to. Where you're now the 9 to 5 clock puncher. When did the light bulb go off for you that that wasn't enough for you? This was still not enough for you in terms of where you wanted to go ultimately in your life?
Well, the one part that I did leave out was when I was 17 years old, right before I graduated cosmetology school, I heard God clearly speak to me and He said to me, "You're going to be an employer."
Hmm.
And from that moment on, everything that I did, I strategically moved. I know how, where, who I was going to employ, what I was going to be employing them to do, but I always let that sit in my spirit. And no matter what I did, I always reflected back to him saying that I was going to be an employer. And
Hmm.
so here I am at ETS, dealing with a boss who, man, this lady, she took us through some stuff. Like, do not come to work
Hmm.
dressed better than her. Do not come to work and getting more
Hmm.
attention than she got. I mean, it was really, really crazy. And she was the assistant supervisor. Okay. The actual supervisor, she made sure, like, I was immature. I would be late to work and, sometimes coming into work mediocre, but she recognized how good I was at what I was doing.
Hmm.
And she would constantly talk to me, you need to get yourself together. You're really good at this. You need to get yourself together. But She was moving on to something else. And here they called a meeting to say that this woman was going to be the new boss. And I put up the church finger, said, "Excuse me one second." I walked to my desk, I got a piece of paper, and I wrote out a little letter, sat back down in the meeting, and passed it around and said, "Can somebody pass this to Miss Sarah?" And right then and there, it was my resignation. There was no way that lady was about to be my boss because I knew she was going to do whatever she could to fire me. She was already trying to
Oh,
do that, you know.
mhm.
And I couldn't work under those conditions. And so yeah, I was out. I was
But
out.
that's what, it's always one of those things when you're thinking back over like your life in terms of like you being in these situations. And oftentimes I always say to myself that God won't make things comfortable for you because that's not where He wants you to settle. Like it wasn't so to be
Absolutely.
this great relationship and you all got along and skipped it and worked together because it was meant for you not to be there. And so it was
Absolutely.
like that moment where you had to make the decision for yourself. Were you going to sit here and deal with this or realize that my destiny isn't here? So then
Hmm.
now you've written this resignation letter. Now what?
I worked a few temp jobs. I worked at Dow Jones. I worked for Bridgestone Firestone. I managed a collections agency, and I was almost the boss. It's just that it wasn't my company. And then even then, it just wasn't right. And so I needed more money. I needed more money. I was trying to buy my house, and so I applied for a job at Merrill Lynch part time, just on the weekends, right, through a temp agency. And
Mhm.
I didn't even realize the resume got over to them quick enough before they called me and say, "Hey, are you looking for full time? It's still temp, but we would like to have you full time." And so I was like, "Okay." But here I was so loyal to this man who was doing me dirty. I didn't even know how to tell him that I was leaving, but then I needed my job just in case I didn't become a permanent employee at Merrill Lynch. So I
Yeah.
told him, I was like, "I'm taking a leave of absence so I can finish a semester of school."
Got always in
I,
plan B now.
I went to go work for Merrill Lynch, and it was a wrap. Within 2 months, they were like, "We're hiring you permanent." And I was there for 12 years. I had no banking background, none of that. And I
Wow.
wound up working my way up to the management team.
So you just, I mean, which it just speaks volumes to who you are in terms of the adaptability, ability to be able to get into circumstances and learn and adapt and really work your way up into that. So
Mhm.
when you're in corporate, and one thing about being in a job that's a 9 to 5 punch clock, it gets comfortable because you get a steady paycheck. You got a check that's coming in every day, and you're like, this is comfortable. This is good. Is it easier for you to say, all right, I can walk away from this because I need to do what I need to do on my own term? Or for some people it's like, well, you should just keep your 9 to 5 job and make that other thing your side thing or your part-time thing.
Well, for me, it was a little different because the moment I got the job, my boss, I had just gotten into a new relationship,
Hmm.
and my boss, she said, "The way you talk about this guy, I know you're going to get married." And she had already known that he was trying to transition into a new profession down in the DMV area, right?
Hmm.
And so she was like, "If I give you this position, you better stay here at least a year." And so I was like, "Okay, I got you, I got you, I got you." And so the thing was, right while I'm in Merrill Lynch, I also went to school to become a licensed massage therapist, just
Mm.
as like just as a hobby. Like I'm like, I got a torn rotator cuff. I need to get some work. If I go to massage school, I can become, I can get free massages. But I get this promotion, Merrill Lynch is going down. Bank of America has to come save Merrill Lynch, and everybody's scared. And I'm like, you know
Mm.
what? If
The
it
Great
all hits the
Recession, yeah.
fan, if it hits the fan, I'm going to open up a massage practice. That was my
Mm.
plan. I'm like, y'all can play around all you want to. This is why I do what I do. Um, but I still kept I was able to still keep my position. But sure enough, my husband proposed, and I already knew what he was trying to do. And so I was like, the thing is, when we first met, he didn't even know I was from this area. He
Really?
had no idea I was from this area. He thought I was lying. Um, and so he proposed. He made the move first, and he asked me, "Look, what would you want to do if you moved down here?" And I was like, "I don't know. Maybe I'll open a massage practice. Maybe I'll just work for myself." And it just went on from there. So he came down, and then 6 months later, I came down. And I continued to work for Merrill Lynch, and it was the worst job ever. I
Mm.
loved what I did in Jersey, but down here it was a different breed of people. Um,
Oh, you
they didn't really,
transferred. So you
yeah,
weren't working remotely. You were transferred. Okay. Okay.
yeah, they did not like me. I did not like them. We both made it known. And I told him, I was like, I don't like these people. And he said, well, quit. I said, if you're serious, that's what I'm gonna do. He said, quit. And I knew it, I wanted it. And I started my massage practice part-time. My first location was right around the corner from the White House. And it was amazing to just walk out and be like back in DC where I was
Yeah.
born and bred. And so I said, I need this to be permanent. So I can't give a 2 weeks notice. Like I want to burn this bridge, right?
Yeah.
I sent a text message to say I quit.
Really. So you
Yes.
basically like the dramatics of leaving.
Yeah. I sent the text message because the thing is, I knew, like, if you give a 2 weeks notice and you need to come back, you're gonna be good. They're gonna take you
Yeah.
back. I've seen Merrill Lynch do this with people, for so long. And like I said, I love the company and everything, but it was time for me to just be done. And the way I knew to be done, where sometimes you got to burn bridges, something
Yeah.
because if you have that safety net to be able to go back, that's what you're always
Yeah.
gonna do. And so I sent a text message and was like, "Hey, I quit."
So now
Bridge
you have
burn.
like, the great thing, and I will say this, you having the support of Channing, hey, Channing, shout out to him too as well. But it's
Mhm.
also one of those things where, and I know that because I know you well enough to know that you would have done this on your own. But of course, it always helped to know that you had someone there championing for you that could be supportive of that because it is, you know, not just easy just to be like, all right, I don't have to worry about bills, but to know that you were able to do that and have the support system that had to help. But then did you have a plan in mind when you was like, all right, I quit? Or was it massage therapy and then we'll see what happens?
Well, one of the things that I wanted was, regardless of what was going on, when you have a single mother mindset, unfortunately, you always have that single mother mindset. I don't
Mm.
care if you're married, how long you've been married for. I don't care what the situation could be. You're always going to hustle as a single mom. Okay.
Mm.
I was a single mom up until I met him. Lexus was 14 years old. And, you know, so I always had that mindset that I have to go that much harder. Right. So when we moved down here, what I wasn't gonna do is be a burden to him. He's
Mhm.
changing careers. I'm changing careers. So I got rid of all the debt. My house in Jersey, I sold the house, my car, all the bills that I had. I made sure that I didn't have any. We
Mhm.
rented my cousin's basement. Shout out to my cousin because we took over. My parents moved in. We was in the basement. My parents were upstairs. Like we used every inch of his house. And so we were in a position for me to like really focus on this thing and build this thing. And that's exactly what I did. I started off part-time and I came home one day and I told Chan and I was like, my customers are saying I'm not available enough. These people are
Mm.
saying they want to come to me 2 and 3 times a month. I think it's time for me to go ahead and do this full time. And the space that I had in DC, it was an office space. Like it literally had an office desk with an office phone. And here I am bringing my massage table in there, telling the other neighbors who rented office space, like, shh, y'all got to be quiet because I got a massage client coming in.
Right.
And these people had no idea that they weren't going to a spa. And when they got
Mm.
there, they were looking around like, I don't know what this is. But
Yeah.
by the time they left, they were scheduled for their next appointment.
Because you
Because I
created
made
that
it an
for
experience for them, and I knew that I had to set myself apart. The thing was, it made it that much tougher because every time I left, because I was renting that space part time, every time I left, I had to carry my massage table
everything.
with me, carry
Wow.
my sheets with me. and then go back and set it up the next time I came. And I remember,
Mm.
and in DC, there's nowhere to park.
No,
You
you
know,
walking with that stuff.
with
Yeah.
a massage table on my back.
Yeah, and that
And
ain't
Shannon was just,
and it's not a yoga mat. It's literally like a
it's
table, y'all.
it's not a yoga mat part. And so one day Shannon went with me and he was just like, I applaud you for having the tenacity to keep going. I literally started that business with $150,
Mm,
a gallon of massage oil, 5 sets of sheets, and the massage table that I bought when I was in massage school that I bought from Sam's Club.
mm. And
Okay.
that's just
And
amazing that this just show how you created a foundation for yourself that didn't have a lot. Like you didn't have all this,
Mhm.
like you didn't start out with a company, a partner with a company. You even at that moment said, I'm gonna still do this from an entrepreneur standpoint because you could have partnered with all these different massage companies or worked underneath
Mhm.
them, at least to build some clientele. But you even in that moment thought to yourself, I want to do this on my own. Why not do it from another standpoint of like partnering with somebody as opposed to doing your own? Had you readied yourself to start your own business at that point?
Well, what I did was anything that I do, I try to study someone else that's doing it. And so I won't mention the name, but I did work for a company. I worked for a company and I did because I wanted to learn how to run my
Okay.
massage practice. And what I learned from working for that company was I learned everything not to do.
Mm,
Okay. So it wasn't altogether a waste. I was just there for a few months, but I learned how not to do things. I learned that the customers, I have to give more to my customers.
then that
It
matters
can't be
more.
it can't be a massage meal where you're in by, you're in by,
Yeah.
you're in by. Like you're in, I'm doing a full assessment. What did we do the last time? This is
Yeah.
what we're going to do this time. Like giving the clients the attention that they need because I specialize in pain management. I'm
Hmm.
not just rubbing you down and sending you on your way.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I can attest, her hands have been on this body. And it is heaven sent for sure. But then
Mhm.
and now we come to another pivot in life. You go from the massage guru to now going into hair and skincare, which is not far from where you originated your skills from when you were in school. I mean, as a young
Mhm.
child. But then what made you decide from the massage portion of it to now taking a dive and creating and making your own hair and skincare products?
Okay, so when I had my massage practice, transition into full time, right? Um, and I would notice some of my clients would have issues with their skin. They would have, different things going on, feet just needing some extra attention. And so what I did was I started making scrubs for people's feet
Mhm.
and the shea butter. I started whipping the shea butter just to soften it up because people are out and I don't judge my clients. And that's the first thing we learn in massage school. A client lays on your table, I don't care what the situation is, you do not judge them. You give them that
Mhm.
space for that time to belong to them.
Mhm.
And so, and that's what I learned to do. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to judge them, but they need help. And so let me do what I can to help them. And so
Mhm.
I started upcharging my packages. Now I have full-fledged packages, not just massages. You can get a foot scrub and you can get this essential oil infused shea butter on your feet to soften your feet. And so
Mhm.
I started doing all different types of things like that. And then I got into while I was in massage school, I became a master herbalist and an aromatherapist. So I started kind of dipping and dabbing into things to make more things for my clients. I got certified as a certified bud tender where I have CBD products that I make. And one of the
So wait,
main
let me
things
ask you a question real quick. So in massage school, you can become a master herbalist, or that's something separate you can go to get that kind of certification.
Well, we used to have classes in addition to our massage classes. So it's just like
Mm.
you have a major and a minor in college. And so
Okay.
we had an aromatherapist come in to do a certification course. We had
Oh
an
wow.
herbalist come in. We had someone who did Reiki. They came in. So I'm certified in Reiki. I
What's
don't use it
Reiki?
that Reiki is a modality. It's like energy healing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm. And so I don't do that often, but I am certified in it. And so just taking all these things and putting them together to offer to set myself apart from your average massage therapist, these were
Mhm.
all the things that I was offering to my clients. And so I started making the CBD products for the pain management, things of that nature. And so that's how I got into some of the skincare stuff. As far as the
Well,
hair care, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I was just gonna say, but just getting into the fact that I see that they're wanting to be a multi-layered massage therapist and offer other products, but
Mhm.
as we know, hair and skincare is a very saturated market. What made
Mhm.
you decide I want to delve into it to then produce and present my own product?
Because I had to make sure that what I wanted something that was for my family, right? We
Mhm.
go out here and we buy and we buy and we buy. And I saw a clip today on Instagram where this guy was like, we go out here and we buy Versace, we buy Ralph Lauren, we buy, and we're just basically buying names. How
Mhm.
come my name can't be bought?
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
come I can leave a legacy of something for my family? But I didn't even really turn those things into actual product lines until later on. People kept asking me, what are you using on your skin? And what are you using for this? And what are you using for that? And then I'm like, ding, people want this. Not they might
Mhm.
not be able to come get a massage, but they actually want this stuff. And so now I
Yeah.
have to formulate it in a way that I can mass produce it and get it out to people. And that's
Mhm.
what I started doing. And it worked because I had to wind up shutting my massage practice down to take care of my mother-in-law. At the time, she was living with us, and I was able to really build that business from home and still handle home. And it turned into what you see now, which is me having a store with my hair products, my bath and body products along with that, and the hair products was a whole different animal. Chance, my youngest daughter, my kids are 20 years apart, for those of you who don't know. Chance's hair wouldn't grow. She had like some type of pathology going on with her scalp, right? It was some type of fungal something um up underneath her scalp that prevented her hair from growing. And her doctor, which was a black pediatrician, we still go to her, but now I'm skeptical with some of the stuff that she says. But she tells me, she said, just wash her hair with Selsun Blue.
Mhm.
Remember, I've been doing hair since I was 15, been in this business since I was 15. I knew better. But I'm thinking, I haven't had kids in 20 years. Let me humble
Maybe
myself
things have changed.
and not be the know it all because maybe things have changed, right?
But
And
Sosa Blue been around 50 years though. But go ahead.
right. And I knew to never put it on my scalp. But here I am
Yeah.
listening to this woman and I put it on my baby's scalp. And sure enough, her scalp got dried out. It was cracking. It was bleeding. She was just digging, digging, digging. She wouldn't sleep. Like it was just a mess. And so my hair care system has 5 products in it. The last product is Moroccan argan oil. And
Mhm.
so, but the thing is, even though that's the last product, that was the first one that I developed because I
Mm.
know I needed something to heal her scalp. And so what I did
Mhm.
was I took that master herbalist training from massage school and I started infusing oils with different herbs, and I
Mhm.
would apply the herbs on her scalp. I'm sorry, apply the oil on her scalp just to heal the scalp. I didn't care that she was bald, right? She was so bald head. I didn't care about that. I just needed her scalp to be healed so
Be
she can be at
comfortable.
peace and so
Yeah.
she could be yes, so she can be comfortable. And then her hair started sprouting. And once her hair started sprouting, now I'm scared to put anything on. I didn't wash her hair for like 2 months, but
Mhm.
I would put the oil has different essential oils in it that that helps with managing bacteria and stuff like that. And so I began to, I'm like, okay, I have to do some research because now she's growing hair. She needs a shampoo, she needs a leave-in conditioner and things like that. And so that I started developing that stuff. And then now her hair is all the way down her back, and people are like, what are you
What is
using
you
on her hair?
doing?
Her curls are popping, her hair is growing, and all this other stuff. And again, I'm like, ding, These
Well,
people
well,
want this.
the thing about it is, I always say that, mentioning earlier how much hair care is saturated. What is one of the misconceptions people don't understand about the product, especially for African American hair, that we're buying, that we're putting in our hair that is causing more damage than good?
It's a lot of products out here that's leaving residue on your hair. So you think your hair is clean and it's not.
Mm,
It's just a buildup, and it's really not like a conditioner, for instance. It's really not conditioning your hair. It's just weighing your hair down because it's sitting on the shaft of the hair,
mhm,
right? And if you're using a shampoo and when you go to rub that your hair, if it's not squeaky, like you can literally hear the squeak, your hair is not clean. Okay.
mm,
A lot of alcohol in a lot of these products. And what a lot of people don't realize is you can say that my product is natural. You can say that my product is plant-based. You can say it's vegan. You can say all these things, right? But what people don't realize is it can literally be
your
mama.
mama.
Yes,
So
it
Bonita. That's right.
it could literally be like 10% plant-based and 90% junk, but
Yeah.
you can still
Just
market
say
it
it.
as
Just
plant-based.
yeah.
Mhm.
But you know what I think, and I was just saying this earlier when I was getting dressed, was lathering myself up with your cocoa melon shea butter, and it was funny because I actually have two other products of someone else's shea butter, and I'm
Mhm.
not just saying it because you're my friend, but I realize the difference in the
Mhm.
quality and
Mhm.
how I can tell that there's someone who has the authenticness of putting these ingredients together to make them actually something you want to put on your skin. And one of the
Mhm.
products I put on after I got out of the shower, it made my skin itch and irritated. And so it made me realize that there's people just putting stuff together because I can put a shea butter together because it's just easy to say I make shea butters. And I think
Mhm.
that's the basis of where you're going and where you are as far as your business is like education and like making people more informed because
Mhm.
that's a lot of things. People just buying stuff off the show because the marketing told you to, and they've been selling it to you in commercials every day. So you think that that's good for you, as opposed to like actually being informed about what you're putting on your body and your hair. So is that like,
Mhm.
if nothing else, what if you had to think of a mission of what your business is about? What would you say that is?
I would definitely say that it's filling voids.
Mhm,
That's my mission, filling voids. Um, now I have a store in
mhm,
St. Charles Mall, and I don't always get the opportunity to be there, but now my schedule is permitting, so I'm there more
mhm,
often. And customers will come in and they have these very specific questions and they things that they've struggled with for years with their skin and with their hair and things like that. And just to be able to help some people get free. This woman came in the store yesterday and she said, she had been in the store plenty of times, but I've never met her. And so she said, I thank God for you. And
mm,
me, I'm just so humble. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, what did I do? And she was like, this whole thing. I thank God for
mhm,
you for this. She said, you have no idea. My hair was breaking off. I didn't have edges. I didn't have and people, you go to the CVS or you go to the hair store and you're buying these overpriced products that have all this alcohol in it, and my hair is damaged and I try to go natural and I don't know which way to go with this thing, and so many people are telling me this and that and this and that. And she said, and I sit and I listen to your employees and they tell me exactly what it is that I need to do, how I need to do
mhm,
it. And and she was like, and just the entire experience has been amazing, from being in the store and learning about the products to taking them home and actually using them. It's just been an uplifting experience. And I've been very strategic with the production of my products with essential oils and aromatherapy. Not only do I want my products to work on you, but I want you to smell them and get your spirit uplifted or
yeah.
rest better at night, or whatever the mood is. I want those products to just
Or,
add
or, or
to.
smell like a snack, as some one of your customers I
Listen,
recall you saying.
yes, yes, yes. He said I'm smelling like a snack. Yes, with one of the shea butters. Absolutely. And so just to hear people say that you help me get healed. They come in and get the CBD products. My mom called me crying one time. My mom suffered from real bad leg pains, and she said, in these exact words, crying, I don't know how you get to the point to get all this stuff, to make all this stuff, but I'm so proud. And this stuff, I've been able to do everything that I said I was going to do today because I've used this cream, the CBD pain management cream, and I've been able to walk and do my laundry and put it away in the same day. And it's just stuff like that, to just hear the feedback from my family, my friends, from strangers, where it's just like, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. A customer came in my store and he used somebody else's shea butter who's very well known in the DMV area. And he said it made his skin feel like it was on fire. He brought the container in, and I knew what it was before he showed me the container and the ingredients. There was an ingredient in it that this is what typically happens to people with sensitive skin. Some people it doesn't affect, but some people it does.
Well, I mean, I know that with everything that you've done and poured into your business, from your products, I mean, your shirts you make, your products that you make, and as far as, like I said, the thermoses and the businesses that you have. Tell us about the most exciting part of it and the most challenging part about being an entrepreneur.
The most exciting part is, as you know, in addition to me having a store with my products, I have a huge section where I allow other Black-owned businesses to sell their items as well. And I've created a space where I can be as creative as I want. And it's so exciting because this month we're launching our intern program to be able to teach young girls how to heat press. The name of it is called She Press. Remember back in the day in DC, like, oh, She Press. So yes, my first intern, she made the shirt that I have on right now, Black Entrepreneurs Matter.
Awesome.
Yes. And so she actually works at my store now, and she has a section where she sells items, and she just stocked these yesterday. And I saved this to wear for this interview today.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's just so exciting to be able to offer opportunities that I wish I had when I first got started. Right. One of the challenging things is people looking at where I am and automatically expecting me to do more for their business than they've done for their own business. Sometimes we say, oh, well, Black people make it and they don't reach back to help someone else. And I used to kind of feel that way until I realized, I haven't made it yet, but I'm further along than I used to be, right? How can I help some people? But the help that they're looking for is for me to do the work for them. And that's not how I'm necessarily looking to help people. And so the toughest part might be just building that thick skin to not let everything, get to me. And because I'm an empath, right? And I try to help everybody, and it messes with my spirit when I feel like my efforts are not being appreciated, or when my efforts are being taken advantage of. So that, I would say, is one of the most challenging things, but I'm working on it.
Or people always want a discount. You know how we always come to people, businesses, our neighborly businesses, think somebody's going to give you a discount. One of our friends always talks about that. He talks about the fact that you wouldn't go to Gucci and ask them for 20% off. So stop coming to me thinking I'm going to give you a discount. No, pay this full price. But it's so with everything that you have accomplished, I'm assuming you have goals you want to accomplish. What are some of the things you want to see for yourself happening in the coming years?
Well, it's crazy because I'm getting the store set. It's almost like a set it and forget it type of situation, whereas I'm not required to be there, because something that's been near and dear to my heart is educating our communities on financial literacy. Okay. And in 2020, I was finally able to go back to school to get my bachelor's degree. Hampton University, summa cum laude. I'll tell every time somebody talks to me, like, oh, where'd you go to school? Hampton University, summa cum laude.
Love it.
And so,
During the pandemic, okay, nonetheless.
okay, during the pandemic with a baby, running a whole business, yes, all of that, right? And so one of the things that one of my goals is to have a full financial brokerage.
Mm,
And I am on track to have that during first quarter of 2022. And so I'm
okay,
hiring
wow.
new employees for the store, and I'm moving closer to that. I'm studying for my securities license right now. And
Mm,
I really want to get this thing up and running because so many of us are struggling. Like, you can be an entrepreneur or you could work for somebody, whatever it is that you're going to do, you still need to know how to manage your money. We need to
yeah,
get into the business of leaving a legacy of wealth to our families. And we're just not privy to this information to even know where to start. And so this
absolutely.
is my thing to get this going. And we will be having financial literacy programs right in my store.
I love that because I was walking the other day, and I was they have like a State Farm office in the neighborhood where I live, and it was so
Mhm.
funny. They have literally have a meme on the outside of the store that says, "GoFundMe is not life insurance."
Absolutely. It's not. It's not. And I'm telling you, every morning I wake up like this thing. I've been doing this for 6 years, for 6.5 years, actually. And this thing has been so near and dear to my heart that every time I wake up, like, it's like, the memes where they say, oh, she woke up and chose violence. It's a mission of mine to think of something to put on my Facebook page to get people to think about, what happens when you leave your job and you only have life insurance on your job, or what
Mhm.
happens when you have the wrong type of life insurance, or what happens when you don't invest properly and you think you're going to retire, and within 6 to 12 months you're going to be at Walmart or Costco checking receipts and things like that, when you're supposed to be somewhere on an island with your feet kicked up and drinking whatever it is, your drink of choice, out of a coconut.
Yeah. And
you
that's
know
and you know, but it's so amazing to think that, as far as your life and how full circle it has come, that you still are setting these goals for yourself that people often think that it has to be in line with this one set of business where you've gone from, different places because you want to, build entities of your business that expands beyond just one thing. And I love the fact that
Mhm.
you're doing that. You're not just selling, okay, I'm going to just do this business and that's it. And that's where the lane I'm going to stay in, because I talked with another guest prior about the fact that people in this theory of staying in your lane and realizing that that's the deception of keeping us in a box and not
Mhm.
realizing
Mhm.
that we need to branch out into different lanes, because how do you know what other opportunities out there that you can explore into?
Absolutely. And who's creating these lanes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't speak limitations into my life. I've had people say, oh, well, you're doing too much, right? Because I had a clothing line, and then I have shea butter. So buy
Mm-hmm.
a t-shirt and put some shea butter on before you put the t-shirt on, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it all comes full circle because now I have a store that sells everything, all of the things that I make in it. Um, but then in addition to that, um, anything that you get into, you have to have an exit plan.
Yeah.
You have to have an exit plan. And my exit strategy, not so much saying that I'm just exiting and my store is just going to be over there and I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I'm setting it up so it can do what it's supposed to do for itself. So I can go over here and help some other people get free. Right. Um, with my whole financial literacy program, I'm setting things up so I can have these things in the store and it's all integrated together. It's
That's
all
amazing.
integrated together. It all works together. People can literally come in, and you remember back in the day, I don't even know if you can do it now because when I get a haircut, I'm cutting my own hair. So I don't go to the barbershop. But I know back in the day, like the barbershop was the staple where you can go, you don't even need a haircut, but you're just sitting in there all day long, just talking
Yeah.
and shooting the breeze. Well, I'm creating a space where that is what can happen, but we're
Mm-hmm.
having conversations that's going to build us up into becoming better people, right? But I'm not looking for people our age. I'm looking for our kids. I'm looking for their kids, because not to say we're done, but more so to say you get the kids, and the kids are who are going to teach the parents, and then they're going to teach
Absolutely.
the next generation. They're going to bridge this gap of the illiteracy when it comes to our finances, and building wealth and things like that, and leaving a legacy. They're the ones who I want to get to. I need
Yeah.
my hands on them, because some of us some of
Yeah,
us
we didn't have it, and they
are
didn't have it, and
addicted
they
to the struggle.
right. They didn't have it, and they wasn't taught that. But
Exactly.
I mean, I know that there's gonna be so much more in store for you, and like your mama said, you are on the version of what she thinks is over, because your dreams are that big that that's your next level of where you're gonna be. You're gonna
Hmm.
be written about and talked about, and not I want you to keep pursuing all that. My mantra in life is dreaming bigger, and you're doing that. So I want you to kind of, for those like young people who are thinking about starting businesses and what their thoughts are about starting business, what inspiration would you give them as far as starting out and what they should look for in terms of starting their own business?
um I feel like the journey is different for everyone. um and so I can give you pointers, but at the end of the day, you really have to assess your situation, assess what, like, really get under someone who can be your mentor and who can show you and guide you where you want to go. I can tell you my journey all day long, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how things are going to happen for you. Because some people will take the icing and not be willing to take what took place to get to the ice and the different layers that lie below. So I can give all kind of information about it, but the one thing that I will tell you is, in anything you do, you always want to evaluate a situation, eliminate what doesn't work for you, and then evolve from there.
I love that. It said evaluate, evolve, eliminate, and evolve. The three E's.
Evaluate, eliminate, and evolve. And every year on my birthday, I always come up with a New Year's resolution. And that one right there was the resolution that I came up with when around 2014, which is when I actually launched my products.
All right, y'all remember those three E's, y'all, because that's a good thing to remember. And I think that anybody can take that and take that in their life and use that as a part of their strategy in terms of assessing where they are in their life. Evaluate, eliminate, and evolve, y'all. Okay, we may need that on a shirt, right?
Yes. I gotta put it on the shirt. I gotta tell the girls to do it.
Listen, I tell you right now, we'll be sitting around having our girly time, and she like, oh, and before you know it, next time we see it, she like, she got it on the shirt. So
Yep.
I love you, and I love that everything that you're doing, and always a champion in support of everything you are doing. I'm about to go take a shower after this and lather up with me some shea butter, okay?
Yes,
And
yes,
also say
definitely.
your, because see that's the thing about it. J Fire is the company, but then there's a John Naturals, and there's other things that you have that are the name. So make sure you all check her website out and follow her
Yes,
Instagram so that you can get these. When I say amazing, and I'm really not just saying this because she's my friend. They are truly superb and above any other product I've ever tried. So
thank
you
you.
all
I
guys
appreciate that.
try her products and go out and support. That's the main thing. So because Black entrepreneurs matter, y'all. Okay.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And these are sold at the store, J Fire and Co.
I love it. And to make sure you all check her out online. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with
Thank
us.
you.
And again, I love you. And we will see you soon.
Love you back.
And we thank you all for tuning in with us every week as we are joined by our guests who share their journeys with us. And we are so inspired by their journeys. And having our guest today, Jackie Reed from J Fire Co., come on and tell us about her entrepreneur endeavors. I've always been told entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. So if you can't take, don't know where your check coming from kind of situation. But it is always a great thing to figure out where avenues in your life you want to take. And I'm glad that Jackie was able to share that story with us and how she was able to pivot her life through that journey. But if you want to follow us and have someone share their journey, please do so by emailing us at inspirebyanonis@gmail.com, or follow us on all social media. We're on social media, y'all. We're on social media. So make sure you follow us we're on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. We even on LinkedIn. So make sure you follow us at Inspired by Anonymous, and follow us and let us know if there's somebody that has been inspiration to you, or if you want to tell your story. Make sure you do so and let us know. But to support the show, this show is here to share the journeys of others so that our youth and others can be inspired. So if you want to support the show, please do so by cash apping $Kiana Tennant is right here below the screen. Kiana Tennant on Cash App. Any dollar amount. Send $1, send $2. All the proceeds that you donate goes directly back into the show. So we thank you all for again coming on and being a part of our show and taking part in a journey that inspires not only myself, but our youth and others. But until then, my name is Sha Hayes, and we inspire together.